I found out my girlfriend was cheating on me, but I never expected what happened next. I never thought it would happen to me. I was always the guy who thought relationships should be built on trust, communication, and loyalty. So when I started noticing little things, messages being deleted, her phone always on silent, the random nights when she was working late, I brushed it off at first. I wanted to believe the best in her, but deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. It started with the small changes. She stopped answering my calls right away, started wearing a little too much perfume, and began leaving her phone face down whenever we were together. The most unsettling part was when she would come home late, claiming she had to finish up work at the office. It wasn't just the late hours, it was the way she'd act. She'd come in, exhausted but somehow not quite the same. It was like she was slipping away from me, and I couldn't catch her. At first, I tried to rationalize everything. Maybe she was stressed, maybe work really was piling up, and maybe I was overthinking things. But as the days passed, my suspicions grew, and I started to feel like I was living in a version of a reality I didn't recognize. I knew my gut was telling me something, but I didn't want to listen. One night, after another late work session, I came home early. I wasn't supposed to be back until later, and I thought, maybe, just maybe, I'd catch her in the middle of something normal, something that would put my mind at ease. But when I walked into the living room, I saw something I didn't expect. Her phone, lying on the coffee table, face up, buzzing with a message from an unknown number. I froze. My heart was racing as I picked up the phone and saw the message. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Same time as last week?" The words felt like a punch to the gut. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't just a harmless text. This was a secret I wasn't supposed to know. I put the phone back down, my mind racing with questions, doubts, and anger. Was she cheating on me? The answer was right in front of me, but I wasn't ready to accept it. As I stood there staring at her phone, I knew my life was about to change. The secret she had been hiding was now in the open, and I couldn't unsee it. But I didn't confront her just yet. I needed more answers, and I was determined to get them, no matter the cost. The hours that followed were the longest of my life. I couldn't stop thinking about the message on her phone. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the words, "Can't wait to see you tonight. Same time as last week?" My mind was racing. Who was she talking to? Was it someone at work, or was it someone I didn't know at all? I couldn't stay quiet about it any longer. I had to confront her, but I didn't want to do it out of anger. I needed answers, and I wasn't sure how much of the truth I was ready to hear, but there was no turning back now. When she came home later that evening, I was sitting in the living room, trying to calm my racing heart. I knew she would walk in, see the look on my face, and immediately sense that something was wrong. I took a deep breath as she stepped through the door, casually greeting me like everything was normal. "Hey, babe," she said, setting her purse down. "Long day?" "Yeah, it was fine," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "I found something today. Something I think we need to talk about." Her face immediately shifted. It wasn't panic or fear, but it was something else. Something I couldn't quite read. She knew what was coming. I didn't waste any time. "I found your phone on the coffee table, and I saw a message from someone asking if you were meeting them tonight. It wasn't from anyone I recognized." "Who is that?" Her eyes darted toward the phone, sitting innocently on the table. She knew I had seen it, and for a moment she just stood there, not saying a word. The silence between us felt suffocating. I can explain," she finally said, but there was a tremor in her voice. It was the first time I had heard her sound unsure. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it, Emily?" I asked, feeling the anger bubbling up inside me. "Because it sure as hell looks like you've been hiding something from me. Something more than just a late night at work. Tell me the truth." She hesitated, her eyes shifting nervously. For the first time in months, she didn't seem like the confident, put-together woman I had fallen in love with. I could see the guilt in her eyes, and it only fueled my need for answers. It's not what you think," she repeated, though her voice lacked conviction. She looked away from me, her gaze wandering toward the window. "I didn't want you to find out this way." "Then how was I supposed to find out?" I shot back. "By catching you in the act? By you telling me I'm crazy every time I asked you about it?" "I've been seeing someone else," she admitted quietly, almost in a whisper. The words hit me like a ton of bricks. I felt my heart stop for a second, and I struggled to take in what she had just said. Who is it?" She looked at me, her eyes filled with regret. "It's someone from work. I never meant for it to go this far, but I've been lying to you for months. I'm so sorry." The room seemed to close in around me, and I could barely comprehend what was happening. The woman I had loved, the woman I thought I was building a future with, had been hiding this entire relationship behind my back. "I don't know what to say," I muttered, my hands shaking. "I trusted you. How could you do this? I never wanted to hurt you," she said, her voice breaking. "It just happened." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The tears that filled her eyes didn't soften the blow. They only made it worse. How could she cry now, after everything? I stood up, pacing the room, trying to process it all. My thoughts were jumbled, and I could barely focus on anything other than the fact that my life as I knew it was falling apart. "This is over, Emily," I said, my voice shaking with a mix of pain and anger. "I need time. I need space to think." I turned and walked out of the room, leaving her standing there, her face a mask of guilt and regret. But I knew deep down that it was too late for apologies. The trust was gone, and nothing would bring it back. The days after the confrontation felt like a blur. I spent most of my time at work, trying to avoid going home. The thought of facing Emily again was unbearable, but when I did have to return to the apartment, the silence between us was deafening. There were no more late-night chats, no shared meals, no laughter echoing through the rooms. It felt like a different place entirely, like a stranger's home. I avoided talking to her as much as possible, keeping to myself, but I knew things couldn't stay this way forever. I had to make a decision. Emily tried to talk to me several times, each time pleading for a second chance. "I'm sorry. Please, let's talk," she'd say. But every time I looked into her eyes, all I saw was the betrayal. I couldn't shake the feeling that I didn't really know her anymore. I was confused, angry, and heartbroken all at once. How could she do this? How could she keep something like this hidden from me for months? I started questioning everything. Every argument, every smile, every moment I had thought was real. Were they all lies? Had she been seeing him while pretending to be the loving girlfriend she had always been? I couldn't sleep at night, and when I did, I had nightmares of her with him, laughing, holding hands, in places we had once visited together. I couldn't escape the images. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the two of them. One afternoon, a week after the confrontation, Emily left me a note on the kitchen counter. It was short, but the words seemed to hit me harder than anything she had said before. "I know I've hurt you. I've made a mess of everything, and I can't take it back, but I love you, and I don't want to lose you. Please, give me a chance to make things right." I read the note over and over, trying to decide what to do. Did I still love her? Part of me wanted to forgive her. I had imagined a future with her, plans, dreams, a life. But another part of me wanted to leave it all behind, to never look back and move on. It wasn't just about the betrayal. It was about how deeply it had cut. How could I trust her again? How could I ever believe anything she said after this? The pain of it all weighed on me, and I knew I couldn't make this decision alone. I reached out to my best friend Alex. He had been through his own relationship messes and was always there to give me perspective. "Man, I don't know what to do," I confessed to him over the phone. "She's sorry, and she wants to make things right, but I don't know if I can ever forgive her." "You gotta do what's best for you, man," Alex replied. "If you can't get past it, then it's not worth holding on to. But if you can find it in you to move forward, maybe there's a chance. But don't let her guilt trip you into making a decision you're not ready for." His words stuck with me. I couldn't let Emily control the outcome, but I also had to be honest with myself. I didn't want to drag out a relationship that was never going to be the same, and I couldn't keep living in a state of constant emotional turmoil. I sat down and wrote a message to Emily, asking her to meet me at a cafe to talk. As soon as I hit send, I felt a knot in my stomach. Was I making a mistake by even giving her a chance to explain herself further? Or was this just the closure I needed to move on? I arrived at the cafe early, hoping to calm my nerves before Emily showed up. The familiar buzz of conversation and the aroma of coffee in the air made it harder to concentrate. I had no idea what I was going to say when I saw her again. Was I ready to hear more of her excuses? Or would I finally get the closure I needed? The sound of the door opening made me look up, and there she was. Emily, in her usual style, had that same soft smile, though it was shadowed by guilt. She hesitated for a moment when she saw me, but then walked over to the table. "Hey," she said quietly, sitting down. Her eyes looked tired, like she hadn't been sleeping much either. I didn't say anything at first. The silence between us felt heavy, almost suffocating. "I'm glad you agreed to meet," she finally added, her voice shaking a little. I nodded, not quite sure where to start. She had been the one to break my heart, but somehow I still felt a pull to listen to her, to understand why she had done what she did. Maybe it was just because I had loved her so deeply, but I couldn't deny that I was still emotionally tied to her, even if I hated it. "I'm sorry," she began, her voice trembling. "I've been thinking about nothing but how I betrayed you. I know there's nothing I can say that will make it right, but I need you to know I never wanted to hurt you." I looked at her, studying her face. Her lips quivered slightly, and I could see that she was genuinely upset. But a small part of me couldn't help but wonder, was she really sorry, or was she just sorry because she got caught? "Then why did you do it?" I asked, my voice sharp despite myself. "Why did you hide it from me for so long? Why did you lie? How could you look me in the eye and pretend everything was fine while you were with someone else?" She flinched at my words, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. She took a deep breath, then spoke softly. "It wasn't supposed to happen. I never meant for things to get this far. It was a mistake, and I never should have let it happen. Whose mistake? I asked, a little more coldly than I intended. Yours or his? She looked down, unable to meet my eyes. Mine, she admitted in a barely audible voice. I let it go too far. It wasn't about him. At first I just thought I was being careless, but then I started hiding things from you, and that's when everything changed. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. You could have told me anything, but you kept lying, kept doing this behind my back. I was scared, she said, her voice cracking. I didn't want to lose you. I thought I could keep both things separate, my feelings for you and what I was doing with him, but I was wrong, and now I've lost everything. The weight of her words hit me hard. Part of me wanted to feel sympathy, to believe that she was truly remorseful, but another part of me, the part that had been betrayed, couldn't bring myself to trust her again. I don't know what to do, Emily, I admitted, my voice softening. I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't know if I want to. She looked at me with tears in her eyes, but I didn't feel the same connection I once did. The bond we had seemed broken beyond repair. The woman sitting across from me wasn't the person I had shared so many memories with. She was someone else, someone who had shattered my trust. I don't expect you to forgive me, she said quietly, her voice full of regret. I just wanted to tell you that I'm sorry. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right if you'll let me. But if you can't forgive me, I understand. I just wanted you to know how much I regret everything I've done. I stared at her, feeling conflicted. My heart was still heavy, and I couldn't deny that I had loved her once. But love wasn't enough to erase the hurt, and I wasn't sure if I could ever see her the same way again. I need time, I said finally, standing up. I can't make this decision right now, but I need space. I need to figure out what I want. I don't know if that's with you or without you. Emily nodded silently, looking down at her hands. She didn't argue or beg. She knew there was nothing more she could say. I understand, she whispered. As I left the cafe, I felt a weight lift from my chest, but it wasn't relief. It was uncertainty. I still didn't know what I was going to do, and I still didn't know if I could ever trust her again. But one thing was clear. I couldn't keep living in this emotional turmoil. I needed answers, and I wasn't sure I would find them with her. The following weeks were like living in limbo. I gave Emily the space she had asked for, but it felt like the distance between us only grew wider. I tried to keep busy, focusing on work and spending time with friends, but nothing could shake the heaviness in my chest. Every time I saw her, I was reminded of the betrayal. It was as if I could never forget what she had done. We didn't talk much after that meeting at the cafe. Emily sent me a few texts, each one more desperate than the last. I miss you, she wrote. I just want to fix this. But every time I read them, all I could think about was the lies. I couldn't bring myself to respond. I kept replaying everything in my mind. The late nights, the missed calls, the way she would disappear without explanation. Had I missed all the signs? Had I been so blind to everything that I never saw the truth? It felt like I was living in a dream, one where everything I thought I knew was crumbling beneath me. One night I sat down with a glass of whiskey, the weight of it all finally breaking through. I needed something to take the edge off, something to numb the pain. My phone buzzed, and I picked it up absent-mindedly. It was another message from Emily. I can't live with myself anymore. Please let me explain. Please talk to me. I stared at the screen for a few moments, my finger hovering over the keyboard. But before I could type anything, my phone rang. It was Emily. My heart skipped a beat as I stared at her name flashing on the screen. I hesitated, then answered the call. What do you want, Emily? I asked, my voice rough. I just need to see you, she said softly. Please, can we meet again? I need to talk about everything. I need to apologize properly. I was torn. Part of me wanted to just end it, to tell her that I couldn't do this anymore. But the other part, the part that had loved her so deeply, still felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we could fix this. I don't know if I can do that, I replied. I'm not sure I want to see you right now. I understand, she said quietly. But I need you to know that I'm not giving up on us. I'm not giving up on what we had. Please, just one more chance. I felt the urge to hang up, but I didn't. Part of me still wanted answers, still wanted to know if there was any chance for us to rebuild what we had, even though the doubt weighed heavily on me. I'll meet you, I said finally, but it's not going to be easy. You've broken my trust, Emily, and I don't know if I can ever get it back. I'll do whatever it takes, she said, her voice filled with sincerity. I'll prove to you that I can be the person you once trusted. I agreed to meet her the following evening at a quiet park near our apartment. As I hung up, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was going to happen, something that would either break us completely or force us to confront the truth, once and for all. The next evening, I arrived early, sitting on a bench near the park's entrance. The cool night air stung my face as I waited. My thoughts raced. What was I expecting? What could she possibly say to make things better? Was I willing to open myself up to this pain again? I heard footsteps approaching, and I turned to see her. Emily was walking toward me, her eyes focused on the ground. She looked tired, worn out. It was clear that this whole situation was taking its toll on both of us. She sat down beside me, but there was a distance between us that couldn't be ignored. She looked at me, but her eyes didn't carry the same spark they once did. There was no more warmth, no more love, only regret. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I never meant to hurt you like this. I never thought I would be the person who would betray someone I loved." I didn't speak right away. The pain in her voice made it harder to stay angry, but I had to stay strong. "Then why did you do it?" I asked, the question I'd been asking myself over and over. She looked away, tears welling up in her eyes. "I don't know. I was selfish. I didn't think about the consequences. I didn't think about you, or how much I was hurting you by keeping this secret." "Why did you keep it a secret? Why didn't you just tell me?" I asked, my voice breaking as I struggled to hold back my emotions. "I was scared," she said. "I didn't want to lose you, but I knew I was already losing you by keeping this from you. I should have been honest with you, and I regret every day that I didn't." For the first time, I saw the guilt in her eyes without any defenses, without excuses. It was raw, but was it enough? I could feel the weight of the silence pressing down on us, thicker than ever. Emily's words hung in the air, fragile and heavy, and for a moment, I wanted to believe her. But then I remembered everything. The night she stayed out late, the excuses, the way I felt so isolated, even when she was sitting right next to me. Trust, once broken, was hard to repair, and I wasn't sure if I had enough pieces left to put it back together. "You say you're sorry, Emily," I began, my voice steady, but with an edge of finality. "But how can I believe you? You were my partner, my person, and you still went behind my back. You destroyed everything we had, and for what? A lie?" "I know," she whispered, her voice barely audible, her face buried in her hands. "I wish I could take it all back. I regret it more than you can imagine." I sat there, trying to process everything. Her tears weren't just about regret. They were about the loss of us, but I couldn't help but feel angry. I had been in the dark for so long, kept in the dark about the one thing that mattered most, and now, sitting in front of her, all I could feel was the void left in my chest. The woman I thought I knew was gone. The love I had once trusted felt like a distant memory, blurred by betrayal. "You hurt me, Emily," I said, the words more raw than I had intended, "and I can't just forget that. I can't go back to the way things were. I don't know if I can ever trust you again." "I understand," she said, her voice breaking. "But please just let me show you I can change. Please give me one more chance." It was then that I realized I wasn't the one who needed to make a decision anymore. I had already made my choice. I had already decided that I couldn't keep living like this in constant pain, wondering if I was ever truly loved or just a convenience. I couldn't hold on to a ghost of a relationship that no longer existed. "I'm not sure I can do that," I said softly, standing up. "I can't keep going in circles, Emily. I can't keep pretending like everything will be okay. I need to let go." Her eyes widened in shock, but there was an understanding behind the pain. She didn't argue. She didn't try to convince me anymore. Instead, she sat there in silence, letting my words settle between us. "I don't want to lose you," she said after a moment, her voice quiet but firm. "But I know I can't keep dragging you through this. I've hurt you too much. I'll respect whatever you choose, even if it means walking away." I turned to leave, but I stopped for a moment, looking at her one last time. There was a part of me that still cared, that still wanted to hold on to what we once had, but the truth was, too much had been shattered. The foundation of our relationship had crumbled beneath us, and no amount of apologies would fix that. As I walked away from the park, the cool night air filled my lungs, but it didn't ease the emptiness inside me. I wasn't sure if I was doing the right thing, but deep down, I knew it was the only choice I could make. I had to choose myself. I had to choose healing, even if it meant leaving behind someone I had once loved so deeply. The road ahead was uncertain. I didn't know if I would ever find love again, or if I'd ever be able to trust someone the way I had trusted Emily. But I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't keep living in the past. I had to move forward, no matter how painful it felt in the moment. As I stepped into the cold night, I realized that sometimes walking away wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a sign of strength. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like I was finally taking control of my own life again. The days that followed were a blur. I went through the motions of daily life, but it felt different now. The weight of Emily's betrayal still lingered, but it wasn't suffocating anymore. I had made the decision to let go, and with every passing day, it became easier. Still, the silence in my apartment, the empty spaces, felt strange. I hadn't realized how much of my life had been wrapped up in her presence, even when things were broken between us. Work was a welcome distraction. I buried myself in it, focusing on the projects that needed attention and reconnecting with colleagues I had barely spoken to while Emily and I were in the middle of our struggles. It felt good to be back in a place where I had control, where things made sense. The chaos in my personal life had spilled over into my professional world, and now I could finally breathe again. A few weeks after our meeting at the park, I ran into Emily at a cafe near our old apartment. My heart skipped a beat when I saw her, but I didn't feel the same rush of emotions I once did. She looked different, tired, worn down, but still the same woman I had loved. "Hey," she said softly when she saw me. "I've been meaning to reach out." I nodded but didn't speak right away. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to say. The pain from our past wasn't as raw as it had been, but the scars were still there. "I just wanted to thank you," she continued, "for everything, for the good times, and for the love you gave me, even when I didn't deserve it." I felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. It wasn't about forgiveness at that moment. It was about acceptance. Acceptance that the chapter was over, and we were both moving forward. I had made my peace, and she seemed to be trying to do the same. "I don't think we were right for each other," I said, my voice steady. "But I'll always care about you. I just don't think I can ever go back." She smiled faintly, her eyes soft. "I understand. I never wanted to hurt you, and I'll always regret that I did." I didn't need her apology anymore. I had forgiven her in my own way, for my own peace of mind, but I knew that I could never be with her again. The trust had been broken, and though time could heal wounds, it couldn't erase the past. As we parted ways that day, I realized something. The emotional weight I had carried for so long was finally lifting. I wasn't bitter or angry anymore. I was free. The pain of the breakup, the heartbreak of the betrayal, it was all starting to fade into the background. I had learned that sometimes the hardest thing to do is to let go. But once you do, you open yourself up to new possibilities, new beginnings. Months passed, and I found myself in a better place. I started dating again, slowly, taking my time to get to know someone without rushing into anything. Trust was still hard to build, but I wasn't going to let one bad experience prevent me from finding happiness. I had learned the value of loving myself, of setting boundaries, and of not settling for anything less than what I deserved. And then one evening, as I was sitting at home after a long day of work, I received a message. It was from Emily. "I hope you're doing okay. I just wanted to let you know that I'm doing better now. I think we both needed to go through everything we did to get to this point. I'll always be grateful for you, and I hope one day we can both look back on what we had and smile." I didn't reply right away. Instead, I took a deep breath and smiled to myself. There was no anger, no bitterness, just peace. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was finally moving on, not just from Emily, but from the person I had been when I was with her. I was no longer the man who had been betrayed and heartbroken. I was someone new, someone stronger, someone who had learned that sometimes the best way to heal is to let go. And with that, I closed my phone, stood up, and walked to the window, looking out at the city lights below. The world was vast, full of new opportunities and adventures. The past was behind me, and the future was waiting. Please let me know in the comments, what do you think was the right thing to do, and if you would have done the same as I did or not.